What's up, guys? We are back with another Star Wars Black Series review, taking a look at the surprise figure of Force Friday, I suppose, stuff that we weren't really sure was coming, and then he just sort of started showing up in small quantities kind of all over the place, and that would of course be the GameStop exclusive Clone Commander Fox, a figure that, well, a lot of people are definitely after. Kind of lucked out, and my in-store pre-order on this guy came through. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to have this guy. Just get another clone, just to get another main commander on the shelf. So yeah, we've got the figure here in the standard Black Series packaging. You've got the figure in the window, and then you've got your artwork down there on the side. He is not numbered because, of course, he is an exclusive. And then on the back, you've got more of that artwork and then a little bit of a bio. So let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look.
And here he is out of the package, our Clone Commander Fox figure, knocking off another unique named clone off the list, which you kind of already get me right there. There was no chance I wasn't going to get this figure, but he is, at the same time, a humongous reuse figure. The overwhelming majority of this figure is reuse, and the other parts that aren't straight reuse are just kind of retool, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there's really not a whole lot new going on here either. So let's jump right in, see what this guy can do. If you're familiar with clones, you already know what's going on here. So the head is on a disc hinge, like the older style figures, so you can look up, he can look down really, really well, rotate side to side. You've got arms that can go out at the shoulder, and then he does have the armor plates. You'll have to get those up over the torso piece there. They rotate, bicep swivel. You do have double jointed elbows, but they aren't the greatest. You can get a little better than 90. Rotation at the wrist, and then of course you've got hinge. He's got the diaphragm twist on this body, so you can go backwards and forwards and bobble side to side. Full rotation. Legs go out, but only about that far. They do kick forward really well, better than 90 degrees. And then you've got some back kick as well. There's really not anything in the way. And then you've got a thigh cut that's hidden by the armor. Double jointed knees, of course. Not the greatest because he's got that band that runs through the joint. And then you've got rocker, and you've got hinge down at those ankles. So yeah, pretty much exactly what you would expect to get out of a Clone Commander figure, because again, there's not really anything new here in terms of articulation schemes, so he moves well enough, and he's going to fit in just fine with the rest of your squad. He can't do anything that they already can't do. Now, if you're like me, of course, the main reason I bought this figure is because of how he looks, and just because it's another unique clone. And for the most part, I think he looks pretty good. I'm not the biggest fan of the weathering on this figure. Honestly, I wish none of the clones had weathering. I would much rather have them all be clean. I know that's not necessarily indicative of them being clones and being constantly in battle, but weathering is kind of, hit or miss for me on many figures. And on this guy, it's okay. It's not great. It's not terrible, but it's It doesn't really add a lot to the figure for me personally. I kind of like a clean clone if I had the choice. Otherwise, though, I mean, I think this guy looks really good. He's basically just your standard clone commander, clone captain from the neck down, really. So you've got basically the same kind of body that we've seen on, say, like Rex and Wolf, with the belt with the holsters. Of course, that's very much a Rex and Wolf thing. He's got the little skirt piece down here, which does have some red on it, fringes for his color scheme. And he looks pretty good. I mean, for the most part, the color scheme works. The paint is pretty well matching to the molded plastics, white versus red. Some of it's molded red, some of it's molded white, of course. There is, again, weathering all over it, and it does seem to be kind of like digitally applied. If you can look really, really close at it, you kind of see like that dot matrix look. I'm not sure I can get close enough in to actually reveal that, but that's kind of how it seems. It definitely doesn't look like it was applied via a brush. So you've kind of got that. They should be more consistent, probably because of that as well. But really, for me, for my money, I mean, it's another clone. I'm basically okay at this point with this particular body, so I kind of know what the limitations are, what it can and can't do, but it's all about this look. I love red troopers, especially like the dark crimson kind of red. So these work really, really well for me. And I think the color scheme on Fox is nicely done. The white, the red clashes really nicely. You've got the emblem over here, which is tampoed really, really well. Very clean, very, very crisp. The only thing that I have that I would consider to be kind of a paint flub is right here on these bands. They do not line up on his arm, on the bicep there. They line up a little bit better on the right than they do the left. It's minor. It's certainly not a huge deal, but it's definitely a thing, and I kind of noticed it right out of the package. Otherwise, though, I really do think he looks good. Again, I'm just not the biggest fan of weathering, so your mileage may vary on that. It's more of a personal preference more than a it's good or bad type of thing. But he does look really cool, and he certainly pairs really, really well with the other commanders and with his own, with his own squad of troops, which we will do comparisons to shortly. But of course, we've got to talk about this head sculpt, this helmet sculpt. So this is, again, an older style of head, older style of helmet, very, very much like a Cody style head sculpt. So there is no, there's no actual head underneath here. It doesn't reveal a photoreal face, just like Cody doesn't. So you kind of got the same thing going on there. It is essentially the same kind of head sculpt that Cody has, but he's a little different. They're not 100% the same. So the antennas are different, and then Cody's got some ridges that run across the top of the helmet. He's also got a smaller, whatever this piece is right here, doesn't stick out as far on Cody's helmet. So it's really, really similar. So it's basically more of a retool than straight reuse, and I think it looks pretty good. I don't really have a lot of issues with it. There are quite a few paint applications on here, varying shades of black, the gray, all the white stripes across the mouthpiece, and then of course the white ridge that runs across. It looks pretty good. I don't have a lot to complain about here. My only real, personal gripe is that I'm not a huge fan on the weathering, and he has a lot of weathering on his helmet sculpt here. A lot of wear and tear up there that kind of gives me more of that photo printing type of paint application look, because you can see a lot of the dot matrixy stuff. But the head sculpt is solid. Paint apps are clean and crisp. The colors really, really pop. And I'm a big fan of this particular helmet design with the visor, so it kind of wins me over right there to begin with. Now, as far as accessories goes, this guy doesn't really bring anything new to the table. He just sort of brings all of it to the table. So you've got your standard clone blaster rifle over here, just done up in black with some silver wash over it, basically dry brushing to bring out more of those details. He has the pistols, just like Rex comes with, so you've got those there. Pop those into his holsters, they fit there just fine, no issues on that end. And then you've also got the big heavy blaster rifle. Again, same sculpt we've seen time and time again throughout the various figures, more of that black plastic with the silver metallic dry brushing on it. He can hold this just fine, two-handed pose. Again, he would probably need a better elbow joints to hold it as well as possible, but again, you're not going to see better or worse performance out of this figure than any other clone so far, so he'll work just kind of like you expect him to. I'm partial to this guy when it comes to clones. I love the big heavy blaster rifle. So you've got a lot of options, all things said and done. As far as what clones can come with, he kind of has, well, just about everything. And then here they are all together, just to give you a quick comparison, like I mentioned. So we've got Wolf and Gree, you got Fox there in the middle, Cody, and finally Rex there. And while there's not really a great deal to compare, because I mean, they're obviously very similar, but they're all quite unique. You can see that there's a lot of parts reuse, but it just goes to show how cool they look standing next to each other. This really completes, well, it doesn't necessarily complete anything, but it adds a little bit more to your current, more unique Clone Trooper setup. So overall, this is a pretty fun figure. He's certainly not perfect. He's on an older style body, older style parts usage, and of course he does have weathering that you may or may not like. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it doesn't ruin the figure for me by any means. It's just not all that great for me personally. Otherwise though, I think he looks fantastic. I love the color scheme. I love this armor setup. I love the ranked clones. And that's really what it comes down to. The more unique style clones, as ridiculous as that sounds, I want the clones that look the most different from one another. And I think we've got a really good one here. They made a great choice by adding this particular one in, because now we've got a red one to go against the various other colors. So it's a very, very multicolored type of setup that you can achieve now. And I'm really happy to have added him to the collection. I think anybody who's into clones will definitely want to jump on him sooner rather than later. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars The Black Series GameStop exclusive Clone Commander Fox. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.